Mr. Holden, you're here before us with a due pass reco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Assembly Bill 2442 allows multiple density bonus to be obtained by housing developer if the developer agrees to set aside 10% of the units for former foster youth, disabled veterans, and/or formerly homeless individuals. In urban and suburban areas, providing an affordable housing option to these populations can be paired with available incentives to build density housing. By specifying people who qualify under these categories, we are opening up affordable housing options to individuals that may not be low income, but are still members of vulnerable populations to get back on their feet. AB 2442 originated from my district. With this bill, we are working to relieve the affordable housing crisis in my community and, quite frankly, across the state. I'd like to thank you for your consideration and respectfully ask for your aye vote. With me today, Mary Ader with the County Behavioral Health Directors Association of California.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Mary Adair, and I'm with the County Behavioral Health Directors Association. We represent all 58 counties, mental health directors, and substance use directors. Housing the homeless and those at risk of homelessness this year is one of our top priorities. AB 2442 will help advance that agenda. AB 2442 aligns with several of our housing principles for this year, including implement strategies that prevent homelessness, use proven models to respond to homelessness, ensure flexibility to address local needs. California has the highest number and proportion of homeless in the country. Former foster youth and veterans are among the highest risk of homelessness. This bill, aimed at increasing housing opportunities for both those who are at risk of homelessness and who are homeless, is a practical tool to use to reduce homelessness. For these reasons, we support AB 2442.
Yes. Thank you. The bill's been moved and seconded. Okay. Anybody else speaking in support today? Anybody speaking in opposition of veterans and homeless people and foster youth? Okay. Would you like to close, Mr.?
Thank you for my close. And I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Questions from the committee, I should have said. I'm sorry. Okay. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass, and we refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Waldron. Alejo. Bonilla. Bonilla, aye. Chu. Cooley. Gaines. Gordon. Gordon, aye. Linder.
You need two more, Mr. Holden. Thank you very much. Okay. Ms. Lopez is next. Daly, Nazarian. I see none of them present, so we'll take Mr. Daly. Oh, we can. Is there a motion for the consent calendar? Second. That's been moved and seconded. Secretary, please call the roll.
Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Waldron. Alejo. Bonilla. Bonilla, aye. Chu. Cooley. Gaines. Gordon. Gordon, aye. Consent. Gaines, aye. Linder.
Need one more. All right. All right. Mr. Daly.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. This bill will establish a fair and transparent process for notifying property owners when a parcel tax has been or will be placed on the ballot. Property owners, as most of us are aware, are required to pay any parcel taxes approved by voters on a local ballot in a city, county, special district, or school district. If a property owner happens to reside in that local jurisdiction, then they can learn of the proposed parcel tax when they receive their ballot guide. On the other hand, non-resident property owners, those who own parcels within the community but reside elsewhere, receive no notice of a pending parcel tax vote. Yet they will pay the new tax if it's approved by the voters. This bill seeks a measure of fairness and transparency by establishing a process for notifying the non-resident property owners, and the simple process we suggest is to use the U.S. Postal Service. With me is Chris Carlisle, representing the California Association of Realtors, the sponsor of this bill.
Christopher Carlisle with the California Association of Realtors, just mentioned, the sponsor of the measure. In a nutshell, this bill is about transparency and not blindsiding an out-of-jurisdiction property owner with a property tax bill that can run into the thousands of dollars. Many parcel taxes, for example, for an apartment building, are levied on a per-door basis. So, for example, for a 100-unit apartment building, the parcel tax can be in the thousands of dollars. Anybody getting hit with a bill like that needs to be given appropriate notice so that they can plan their finances accordingly. You're going to hear from the opponents about how this information is readily available. But that's if the property owner on a weekly basis visits the websites of the county, the city, and all of the special districts, and that includes park, water, sewer, cemetery, etc., in which the property is located. Do we really want to put that burden on someone who just wants to know in advance of receiving their property tax bill if the property taxes are going to increase? Let's not make this information difficult to find. In an era where we have universities clarifying their online image, this is the sort of thing that makes the public very wary of government. This bill has been improved over last year's version with the postcard format notification, which will decrease the cost. For the members of the committee who voted for the bill last year, and that includes Ms. Waldron, Mr. Hsu, Mr. Cooley, Mr. Gordon, and Mr. Linder, we look forward to your continued support. For those new to the committee, we ask for your aye vote. I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Others speaking in support today?
Yes, Madam Chair, members. Good afternoon. David Wolf with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association in support of the bill as well. And Mr. Carlisle's right, members. This is all about transparency. And especially, we believe with these parcel tax elections being conducted outside of regular general and primary elections a lot of the time, we think this notice is incredibly important. Obviously, the postcard is different from last year's bill, and we do believe that's important as well. Just crucial to note, too, that these parcel taxes are regressive. They do impact a lot of families in homes that are different sizes, but they impact them the same amount. It's a flat fee. And it's unfortunate. And so we do believe this added notice is important. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Others in support?
Shanta Bacon with the California Apartment Association. We are in support. Again, echo the comments earlier, and we believe it's a good bill that will help our rental property owners know what's going on with their properties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony Molina on behalf of the California Manufacturers and Technology Association in support, and also on behalf of Ken DeVore from NFIB in support.
Thank you. Others in support? People speaking in opposition today?
Hi, Christina Lockey with the California Special Districts Association, and we most regrettably oppose the bill. The requirements in the bill create a duplicative notification process above and beyond the already public and transparent process that occurs for public elections for parcel taxes. Parcel taxes are placed on the ballot by the local agency's governing body in a public, open hearing with a publicly noticed agenda in which public comment can be taken. Then there's the election of the parcel tax. It's placed on the ballot and it goes through a normal electoral process for all registered voters who get information about the election, for example, by receiving a sample ballot. As the committee analysis notes, local government parcel taxes already face quite a hurdle to achieve the 2/3 vote required to pass. And the potential costs and new requirements in this bill create additional burdens in the minds of local elected officials that are already facing the tough decision to ask their constituents for an increase or a new parcel tax. Over half of the proposed local government parcel taxes since 2001 have been for public safety or medical services, for things like fire prevention, gang suppression, medical services. They also help fund libraries, parks and recreation, and then also schools, of course. Additionally, this bill does treat property owners different than those registered voters who don't own property, such as renters. And this bill will only requires it for parcel taxes. This bill doesn't apply to other issues that are on an election that could affect the business interests of businesses that are located outside the region or even outside the state. And then I do just want to note one technical concern that we have with the bill, and that's the 1-week notification requirement. The bill requires us to notify parcel owners within 1 week of the governing body voting to place the measure on the ballot. We have concerns that that's not enough time for us to get the information from the county, process and mail it. So unfortunately, we must oppose the bill.
Thank you. Others speaking in opposition?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members, Bob Reeb with Reeb Government Relations on behalf of the California Central Valley Flood Control Association. We'll associate our comments with the prior speaker, but also point out that Ours is a bit more narrowly focused. Some of our members use Melrose financing district financing to pay for flood control facilities. That law already authorizes local agencies at a point in time in the process through forming a Melrose district to do notification by mail. If it's the desire of the legislature to require mailed notice, we would like to see amendments to that particular act so that the notice fits within the current time frame of forming a Melrose district and imposing a parcel tax pursuant thereto.
Thank you. Others speaking in opposition today?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, Megan Brightwell on behalf of the California Professional Firefighters in opposition today. I want to just say that we were late getting our letter in, but we did communicate with the author's office pretty early on. Parcel taxes are used by local governments in many cases to fund public safety services and fire. We think this is an undue burden. There are many current law notice requirements on the books already, and for those reasons we are in opposition today. Thank you.
Thank you. Others speaking in opposition? Yeah, and Mr. Daly, you'll see I didn't put a recommendation. I wanted to hear what people said, because I also have concerns. I mean, when I was in the council, I represented a very marginalized district, a lot of absentee landlords. I wish I could find out where they lived, because a lot of problems in the community with people not living anywhere near. So I guess my concerns are, for the most part, parcel taxes are passed on to renters anyway. Part two, if you want them, if you want to note, I mean, if you were paying attention in the community, you know what's going on, right? And that would be my goal. I want you to pay attention. If you own major property in a community, I'd like you to pay attention to what's going on, and thereby you would know if something's going to come up for a vote, right? I mean, we have a lot of open laws about transparency, about agendas being posted on websites. I mean, it is not that hard to find out if a parcel tax is being considered on a local ballot. And then secondly, for the most part, those taxes are passed down to the renters as it is. And then third, it seems like you just want to know so you can try to stop it. So I guess you're asking people to say, I mean, because it's already noticed, it's already out there, the vote goes out, there's a certain amount of time. So those are my concerns, and I will not be supporting this today.
I respect your concerns, and I've thought about this a lot. I was a city official for 14 years, and I was a school board member before that. And I, too, grappled with the subject of absentee landlords. The fact is that information is gettable. I remember asking the city manager, find out who owns that apartment building, and it is completely gettable. Usually within one day, usually within a few hours, if one desires to get the information. To me, and I completely disagree with the comments that this is duplicative. It's not duplicative. If you imagine you own 10 apartment units in the town next door, and you're out of town, or newspapers are different nowadays, you might simply not know. And this is the only tax I can think of where someone else votes on it, and you pay it, and you might never hear about it until the bill arrives. And the notion that you pass it on to tenants applies maybe to residential properties, but not commercial properties. Parcel tax come in many, many formats, many, many formats. And the commercial property owners don't have residential renters, obviously. So I think it's a simple, good government notification bill. I also disagree that the reason for the bill is so that people can oppose the parcel tax. They might embrace it if they knew about it, if they understood what it was for. I just think in our democracy and in our taxation system, when someone can lay a tax on you, when someone else can lay a tax on you and basically blindside you, I think that's wrong. So what are we really afraid of with notification in a democratic process? Those who are voting on the tax get the ballot information. Those who are paying the tax do not. Should they have to hire lobbyists to track every city or jurisdiction that they operate in? So I just think it's a matter of simple fairness. And what prompted this a couple years ago, I've carried a couple bills regarding parcel taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Many property owners don't know, and they have a hard time getting basic answers. They call City Hall. City Hall doesn't know. It's hard to track it down, and I think that's wrong. So I respect your questions and your concerns, but I respectfully disagree.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Other questions from the committee members?
Question I was going to ask. Was there any conversation about the 1 week period which we talked about?
Thank you, and I do appreciate that concern, and I do think that 7 days is a bit tight. And I'll consider another time frame. 30 days would work. We've asked the opposition to suggest a time frame that would work for them. Some of the agencies are small, so I would suggest 30 days or whatever the committee is comfortable with, and I can bring that amendment up at the next step. But I do agree that 7 days is a little bit on the tight side.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Daly. Okay, that bill's been moved and seconded. Do you want to close, Mr. Daly?
I respectfully request an aye vote, and I appreciate your concerns, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Secretary, call the roll.
The motion is to pass and re-refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Eggman.
Not voting.
Eggman not voting. Waldron.
Aye.
Waldron, aye. Alejo. Bonilla. Bonilla not voting. Chu. Cooley. Cooley, aye. Gaines. Gaines, aye. Gordon. Gordon, aye. Linder.
You need one more vote, Mr. Daly.
Thank you, committee members. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Ms. Lopez.
Okay, let me see. Okay.
Let's go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. I present AB 2685. This is a reading right now. Requires the planning agency and the city and a county make the draft housing element available to the public at least 30 days before the submitted that Department of Housing and Community Development for HCD for approval. It also provide the public comments to the passing out the governing body before they vote and approve the housing element. The public participation in housing issue has been a long time issue in my district. I understand that working group at the housing department has been looking at several housing issues and often increased public participation. But the issue is more public participation is very important to my district, and that's why I'm submitting this bill forward.
Okay, thank you. And are you willing to accept the amendments, Ms. Lopez?
Yes, I will send the amendments.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else speaking in support of this bill today?
Yes. Did I? No. No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Anybody speaking in opposition to this bill today?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. Thank you. Kendra Harris with the League of California Cities. We submitted a letter of concern a little late in the process. Apologies, but we are in communication with the author's office. We have, I don't know what amendments were taken today, but we have some concerns kind of about the vague language in the bill, concerned that it might open up, the cities to some lawsuits, and we want to make sure that we avoid some of that and do some cleanup in the language. But we understand what the author's trying to do here, and so we want to continue to work with her on that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anybody else?
Second.
Thank you. Anybody else speaking in support today? Questions from the committee? Ms. Lopez, I thank you for your work on this, for accepting the amendments, and for being dedicated to your district.
And I'm working with other people with the concerns.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to close today?
I just respectfully ask for your vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass as amended and re-refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Waldron. Waldron, aye. Alejo. Alejo, aye. Bonilla. Bonilla, aye. Chu. Cooley. Cooley, aye. Gaines. Gordon. Gordon, aye. Linder.
The bill is out. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Mr. Daly. Tule Lake, get up here.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I'm going to be very quick. I am going to accept the committee amendments. I have with me John Crawford, who drove all the way from Tule Lake, and I know you've been close to his home in my district. But today I'm presenting AB 1816 to the Tule Lake Irrigation District. I'd like to thank the chair and committee members and take the amendments. AB 1816 will simply modify the board eligibility criteria to allow landowners who reside within the district or adjacent to it to run for director in the division in which they own land. This will align Tule Lake Irrigation District with other districts in the state within a state statute. I have John Crawford here to answer questions if there are any technical questions, but we are simply adding this bill to other jurisdictions that already do this. So I would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you very much. Witness in support.
I want to thank Madam Chair and her committee staff for working so closely with Mr. Daly and with the Tule Lake Irrigation District. I've farmed in the district for 50 years. I've served on the board for 34 years. And the landscape has so changed. My entire district was homesteaded by veterans beginning in 1917 and ending in 1948. And at that point in time, every parcel had a homestead on it. That landscape has changed in that we've had a consolidation of small family farms into larger family farms, but they stay family farms. And a note, we drove 5 hours straight south this morning to get from Northern California to Northern California.
Welcome to California. Okay, that bill's been moved and seconded. Anybody else speaking in support today? Those in opposition? Would you like to close, Mr. Daly?
Just respectfully ask for an aye vote, and thank you for your hard work. We attempted this bill last year and weren't successful, and I'm confident we were going to get it to the governor and sign it. Thank you.
And I appreciate your willingness to work and to actually solve a problem that we were trying to solve. It's a lot of these districts way up there, nobody lives there anymore. To get people to serve on the board is very difficult. So we admire your dedication to service. And Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass as amended and re-refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Waldron.
Aye.
Waldron, aye. Alejo. Alejo, aye. Bonilla. Bonilla, aye. Chu. Cooley.
Aye.
Cooley, aye. Gaines. Aye. Gaines, aye. Gordon. Aye. Gordon, aye. Linder.
That bill's out 7-0. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, we're going to lift the call on a couple bills. You're welcome to make yourself at home, Mr. Nazarian. Since we have a number of members here right now.
Want me to
just call from the beginning, call the roll.
Items 1 and 4, which are on our consent calendar. Waldron. Aye. Waldron, aye. Alejo. Aye. Alejo, aye. Chu. Cooley.
Aye.
Cooley, aye. Linder. Okay. Item number 3, AB 1934, Santiago. The current vote is 3-0. Waldron. Alejo. Alejo, aye. Chu. Cooley. Aye. Cooley, aye. Gaines. Linder. That bill's out.
That bill's out 5-0. AB 2180, Mr. Ting.
Current vote is 4-0. Waldron.
Aye.
Waldron, aye. Alejo? Aye. Alejo, aye. Chu? Cooley? Aye. Cooley, aye. Linder.
The bill's out 7-0. Mr. Santiago, AB 2208. Nothing's happening yet.
Current vote is 4-0. Waldron. 2208.
2208.
Waldron, aye. Gaines. Gaines, aye. Linder.
That bill is out. AB 2299, Mr. Bloom. Currently has 4 votes.
Waldron. 2. Gaines. Gaines, no. Gordon. Linder.
Still needs another vote. AB 2442, Mr. Holden has 3 votes.
Waldron. Alejo. Alejo, aye. Chu. Cooley. Cooley, aye. Gaines. Linder.
That bill is out. AB 2450, Mr. Sajian has 4 votes currently.
Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Waldron. Waldron, aye. Chu. Gaines. Gaines, aye. Linder.
Bill's out 7-0. Next up, we have Ms. Gonzalez, 2470.
Current vote is 3-0. Waldron. Aye. Waldron, aye. Alejo. Alejo, aye. Chu. Cooley. Cooley, aye. Gordon. Linder.
Bill is out 6-0. Next up, we have Mr. Daly, AB 2476.
Current vote is 4-0. Eggman, Alejo, Bonilla, Chu, Linder.
Okay. Bill still on call. AB 2501 by Mr. Bloom.
Current vote is 4-0. Waldron, Chu, Cooley. Aye. Cooley, aye. Gaines. Linder.
Bill is out 5-0. AB file item 18, AB 2586 by Mr. Gatto, the Parking Bill of Rights.
Current vote is 2-2. Alejo. Alejo, aye. Waldron. Aye. Waldron, aye. Chu. Cooley. No. Cooley, no. Linder.
Still needs another vote. AB file item 20, AB 2697 by Ms. Bonilla.
Current vote is 3-1. Waldron. Waldron not voting. Alejo. Alejo, aye. Chu. Cooley. Cooley not voting. Linder.
Still needs another one. Okay. Mr. Nazarian, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. AB 2556 makes clarifying changes to AB 2222 from 2014. A purpose of AB 2222 was to ensure that a law designed to increase the supply of affordable housing was not resulting in a net loss of affordable units. In implementing the provisions of AB 2222, cities have discovered that the law needs clarification. AB 2222 requires the replacement of rent control units, but did not provide guidance on the rent level for units that are occupied or were occupied by tenants that are not lower income. This bill, AB 2556, clarifies that units subject to rent control that are currently occupied by persons or families above lower income, the government may require the replacement units be made affordable to low-income households or to be replaced in compliance with the jurisdiction's rent control ordinance. Additionally, the bill clarifies that when income levels of previous tenants are not known, AB 2556 clarifies that the method to determine income is based on income data from the census tract in which the project is located. AB 2556 maintains the intent of the law in requiring developers to replace affordable units while providing greater clarity for developers and local governments in meeting replacement requirements. With that, I have Anya Lawler with the Western Center on Law and Poverty, as well as Brian Augusta with the California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation.
Thank you. First witness, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. AB 2222 was an important step forward for density bonus law, ensuring that projects receiving benefits under the law have to replace all affordable units on the project site. Unfortunately, as the author has laid out well, cities have discovered some gaps in the law that need to be filled in order for projects to move forward in compliance with the law. This has been a challenge, especially in Los Angeles, which processes a very high volume of density bonus projects. AB 2556 fills these gaps so that the no net loss and replacement requirements under density bonus law can be fully implemented. Just as a side note, we've heard some concerns from cities that census data might not be the best proxy for income data, and we're totally happy to keep working with them to find what the right tool is to replace that data when the income data isn't known. So it's a pretty simple measure, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Brian Augusta on behalf of California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation. Worked with Mr. Nazarian on the original bill and pleased to be part of the effort to clean it up and make sure that it works for local governments and for the residents of affordable housing. So we would urge an aye vote.
Thank you. Others speaking in support today? Would you like to speak in opposition today again?
I'm back. This seems to be the trend. Not exactly in opposition, just have some concerns, some of which the advocates already pointed out. So we're happy to continue conversations. We want to have some conversations with the author's office. There were some other elements that our folks outlined around whether a developer should be required to make some effort to determine the incomes of households. So, just have some concerns and want to keep working with you. So thanks.
Thank you. Others speaking in opposition or close to it? Okay. That bill's been moved and seconded. Questions from the committee? Seeing none. Mr. Nazarian, would you like to close?
I simply ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Does enjoy a due pass. Please call the roll.
The motion is due pass, and we refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Waldron.
Aye.
Waldron, aye. Alejo. Alejo, aye. Bonilla. Chu. Cooley. Aye. Cooley, aye. Gaines. Aye. Gaines, aye. Gordon. Aye. Gordon, aye. Linder.
Bill's out 6-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Nazarian. Mr. Mainshine.